Hey everyone, Curated expert Bobby Chatterton here. Today I am talking to pro snowboarder Caley Vanular. All right, Callie. When was your first time snowboarding ever?
So my first time snowboarding ever was when I was 5 years old, and I was on like a ski team, which was basically daycare, and they had snowboard day, and so I did snowboard day, and I wanted to switch that day, but my mom was like, "You have to finish out the season." But yeah, first day was snowboard day at my ski team.
So you started skiing first before 5 years old?
Yeah, 3 to 5, never went back.
Awesome. Did you find that you acclimated to snowboarding quickly?
Honestly, the only reason I started snowboarding was because the people were nicer.
I think that still stands true today.
Yeah.
You've always had this hustling, creative type mindset, and it seems like you've kind of refused to really be placed in any genre of snowboarding or in terms of like your career and what defines you. What were the challenges that you faced, like going along that pathway of becoming a professional snowboarder?
Yeah. I mean, it's so much easier to just be one thing in life. Like if you're just like, ride rails and that's all you do. And like, yeah, you're just like a street kid, you'll like probably be more successful quicker. But then you get like boxed in. Um, So yeah, I wouldn't say my route was direct in any means.
Sure.
um, Probably, arguably the least direct, but in that sense, I don't know. Yeah, I have all my like different interests. I've been able to in the end. I guess it's not the end; it's just the beginning. But I've been able to like bring it all around full circle. But by no means was it easy or was it quick. I'll say that.
Do you think that, like as a woman, I know you mentioned that when you first started competing, you were one of a few. Um, do you think that like back then when there were even less women in this industry, it was harder to pursue what you really wanted?
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny one, like women in sports, and I mean, right now is like the heyday to be a female. I feel like there's like so much coverage and like so much support in that sense. I mean, still brands aren't hiring enough women or paying them enough. I'd say like that's the biggest flaw of today is like people are adding all these women to their team, but they're getting paid like nothing, and I find that like almost worse than not having women.
Yeah, because
Um,
yeah,
it's just insulting
it's
if
to
the like
create the exposure type thing to look good,
yeah,
right?
it's like tokenism. But on that note, like I think that I mean there's the women that like paved the way, like Victoria and Barrett and like all those badasses, um and then yeah, it's just like every brand basically had one female pro and that was it. There's only room for one. And like it stayed like that, I swear, most of my life. Even to this day, like brands rarely have multiple female pros on one team, and that just like creates a really competitive atmosphere within women's snowboarding because people don't want to like lose their spot. And then with that like that mentality, it doesn't like perpetuate people to like help each other out, because
Yeah,
nobody
yeah.
wants to lose their job too. So that like attitude, I'd say, is like the saddest part of women versus men in snowboarding. Is like men, you see these like older pros bringing up younger pros and like supporting them, and if anything, like for the older men, it keeps them relevant when they're hanging out with like the younger dudes. Whereas like on the flip side for women, we like haven't had that like inclusive atmosphere kind of up until now. Like this year, you're seeing a lot more videos come out. I mean, Jess Camara like really paved the way with Uninvited, like those videos. That
So
was like,
badass.
she like, yeah, kind of started doing that, like using her like platform to give more exposure. But yeah, it wasn't like that for a very long time. So it's cool to see it happening now.
So I love that you spoke to, having a crew that supports you and motivates you at K2. What's in store for you and the K2 team this season? Do you have any awesome events or trips and, stuff planned?
Yeah, I mean, last year I worked with Jay Stone, who is the board designer at K2. He's a good friend of mine too. We worked together on a more progressive women's freeride board that is coming out. So very excited about that because as a taller gal, I struggle with finding a freeride board that's great for me because I'm kind of in that like larger woman, smaller man category, which a lot of brands haven't filled. Like, for instance, like Austin Sweden and I weigh the same amount. Like, so him and I technically could ride the same snowboard, but lengthwise, they like that
Yeah.
category has a lapse. So like a woman that looks for like a bit more of an aggressive snowboard, but not too aggressive that it then rides you. So we were working on a board that is just like a little bit stiffer, a little bit more aggressive for free riding and resort riding, and made this pretty fun new shape that is coming out this year. So we'll do a trip with that. And then also, yeah, K2 puts out a team video every year. So there'll be tons of fun trips, and they're mainly based in Utah. So probably get out there and enjoy Brighton. I love that resort. Brighton is like America's Mount Seymour.
Yeah, I could see
Yeah,
that. Absolutely.
it's like the exact same thing. It's so good. I love it.
Yeah, so you've always been pretty creative.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. I mean, if you don't get new stuff, but like you want like a new look,
Change up the
then
style.
paint's cheap.
Did
Yeah,
you ever wear the skull candy over the?
the icons.
Yeah.
Um, no, I never did, but yeah, my my brother used to ride for Skull Candy. This probably shouldn't share this, but I used to go in his room and steal his icons and then sell them at the coach's sale. And I would make so much money because people loved them. Yeah, that's all, the only reason I know what those are called. But yeah, I never wore those. I don't
Hustling,
think. I mean,
hustling mindset.
yeah.
So what did your pathway to becoming a professional snowboarder look like?
Yeah, my path is very different than most because it took me a really long time to get here. Not for lack of effort. I started snowboarding at 5, and then I was competing. I was like super into slope style and rail jams and stuff like that as a kid. And I did that for most of my youth. And then in high school, I was going to go to SMS was what I was trying to do, and then randomly my dad, who was living in Florida, offered to move to Whistler, and I had been going to Camp of Champions for the past 5 years prior to my dad bringing that up, um, and my dad moved to Whistler. So then instead of going to Stratton Mountain School, I went to Whistler, which probably changed my life. In like it kind of decided, I think if I went to SMS, I probably would have stayed like competing really. Because once I got to Whistler, I just started riding powder and everything changed. And then I blew my knee, which definitely sucked for anyone that's done that. And yeah, that kind of like, I mean, it took me out for a while. That's what like kind of got me thinking about like, oh, I can make money like other ways and still snowboard and like have less pressure on myself around snowboarding. And so when I got hurt, I started working online, and then I just kept working online while I was trying to snowboard. And that like really opened up like crazy opportunity for me because it was it was like pre Instagram. At that point, it was just when I was working for that guy, it was just Facebook and Twitter, which was funny. And I was always like pretty online, anyways. I sold my hats through MySpace. My friend Jody was like, "You were the first person I know on Facebook." So I was just like always on the internet, and then yeah, that job like working online kind of like perpetuated me into doing like a lot of like blogging and writing for brands. And so I would be doing that and still snowboarding. And it allowed me to just like snowboard more for fun and like take kind of the stress out of it. And then coming back from knee injuries, because I ended up hurting my knee again, my other knee, like a couple years later. So I just like went the way of the buffalo and I just went into the backcountry. And yeah, for a while I would just do kind of content trips, started getting into more like adventure snowboarding. So like the Morocco trip, basically what I would do is just like create like a dream trip, and then I would pitch brands and like try to get funding and then go do something for the first time. So I went to like Norway with 11 women. We were the first women to sail around some fjords in Norway, and we split boarded every single one. I was the only snowboarder on that trip, which was really funny. Only snowboarder I ever saw for like 3 weeks, and we were the only group of women, which was so nuts. This wasn't even that long ago. It was like 3 or 4 years ago now. And the Morocco trip, and yeah, some trips to Japan and some here in Canada. So just started like pitching trips and making videos, and I didn't even have like full sponsors at that time. I was just like doing one-off brand deals, so like trading like content photos during our trips or videos for the trips, and I would try to do like 1 or 2 of those a year. And by doing that, it just like started getting me even more like recognition or like opportunity in snowboarding.
All right, huge thanks to Callie for joining us today. If Callie inspired you to start shredding, make sure you head to curated.com, get connected with an expert to get hooked up with the best gear suited for your needs.